Greetings, greetings, greetings to everyone and everything. We are the Dawn of Ascension show, and I'm here with my Ascension Soul team, Susie, Gina, and Aubrey. And we're here to talk about our tools, our views, and our journey through these wild and wonky and crazy vibrations that we're living through every moment of every day. Today, we'd like to talk about ancestral ties and our lessons through these ancestral ties. They're actually templates for our growth. You are not your mother's keeper. We have contracts for specific energies that are being played out. And if it's happening to you at all, you have contracted for it. Now, how do you change those contracts? You own your own accountability, not someone else's accountability. Aubrey, 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 this has been a huge subject and a huge lesson for us grid girls. What do you got today?
Thanks, Darlene. So when we think of ancestral energy, there's a couple archetypes that you sort of think of. You think of the wisdom of the ancestors. There's also ancestral karma that's getting passed on, and you can see that in your genetic makeup. And ultimately, when we choose into an incarnation, when you say yes, I'm going to incarnate, you choose into what bloodline and what kind of ancestral lineage that you want to have as your template in this lifetime. So our families are our very like biggest lessons. Our immediate family in any lifetime that you choose into are always going to be where you glean the biggest growth. Now that could be with a loving family, and it could be that in an incarnation you need to have a loving family in order to find your highest potential. It can also be in a really dysfunctional family. That is another way that you can choose into a high growth potential. And remembering that you chose into your circumstances and into indeed all of your circumstances in your life, that's kind of where you start finding your PowerPoint of choice moving forward. Because once you've kind of taken accountability for the fact that you have chosen into every single circumstance, even your mother in your life, once you realize that you chose that, that's when you start being able to realize that you can choose other things moving forward. Now, it feels really personal when we look at ancestral stuff, especially when you're looking at things like your parents. That's when it kind of feels really, really close to home, which is a really good sign. If something feels really close to home, that means that you're kind of getting into the nitty gritty of the energy, the meat and potatoes of the energy, I guess, that really matters. But if you zoom out of like any construct in your life, you'll find that there's just sort of a patterning that you can look at. So if you zoom out from your relationship with your parents and you see a pattern that has played out with them, you'll most likely notice that that pattern also plays out in other parts of your life. It will play out in the way that you think about yourself. It will play out in the way that you interact with other people. And that patterning is really what you're looking. That patterning is the result of the contracts you've made in order to learn specific lessons. And it feels really daunting when you're in the thick of it to change your mind. If you're in the middle of a thought process and a way that you think about yourself, it's very hard to stop that thought process mid thought and shift it. It's possible, and I do that, but it's because I zoom out and look at the actual like patterning, and recognizing that you have the ability to change your patterns and recognizing that you can be in a loop is really important. Now, some of these loops got passed on from ancestral energies that sometimes we get called in order to kind of like shift that ancestral patterning. And it's important to remember that you aren't actually responsible for any of your ancestral karma. You are responsible for what is actually affecting you and what you're engaging in. And by you shifting your perspective and you shifting your pattern and your energy, your ancestors then have the ability to choose into it, but you are never doing it for them. In fact, that will really mess with the energy if you're trying to do it for your ancestors. I've had quite a few clients recently actually that I've had to kick their ancestors out of their field because their ancestors kind of are coming to them to do their work, and that's just in general that's not a good practice. Everyone is here to do your own work. And keep in mind, if you have children, you are technically their ancestor, and so any healing work that you do for yourself is actually going to pass on to them. And so there's benefits and there's downsides to the way that we're all interconnected, but it is one of the easiest ways to look at how we are all interconnected. I have a lot to say on the subject, obviously.
Oh my God, I could just listen to you go on, and I wish I would have known this information 5 years ago. It would have made my life so much easier. So I'm so grateful that we get to share it for people now so that they get the benefit of this wonderful, wonderful information. And my point on this is just don't take anything personal. That's when you don't take it personal, that gives you the opportunity to zoom out and just wonderful information. Gina, 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 what you got, girl?
Um, well, for me, I was adopted. So I was adopted at birth. So I don't really have that ancestor and I don't have any history. I don't know any of my bloodline, so to speak. And I certainly haven't done DNA sampling. Thank you. Nobody needs that DNA but me. But with that, I've watched people around me and seen the difference between myself and others with bloodlines and how different it is because for years growing up I wouldn't have this connection as others or because I'm assuming because they're not blood related or that ancestral tie through generations. And it's really helped me see how I am only responsible for me. You are only responsible for you. You're not responsible for your parents and your bloodlines. And to best function in this changing world that we're in now, it's it's really time to find out who you are. And it looks like Aubrey's got a bunch to say about that.
Yeah,
Listening to you.
No? But anyway, that's like my perspective, which is a little different than in general, but it's from how I've helped friends and through the years move through this is to help them to see how their parents' actions were for them to learn from, but not to take on. One of my favorite, observe, don't absorb. So again, it's like release the absorption of their stuff and observe it and how it's affecting you to and how do you want to then deal with that um, those those issues that have been instilled in you, I guess, how to let them go or move through them. There you go.
I would like to say that Gina has a very, very, very powerful sense of herself, and her not having these other ancestral contracts has, she is so grounded and so much Gina and in herself. And she's really, really helped me and Aubrey, I know a lot in understanding this because she just doesn't come with this junk. I mean, observe and don't absorb. I mean, that's her Paul Revere shout, you guys. Observe and don't absorb. Aubrey, can you talk a little bit more about I know there's others that have been adopted and they might feel the same kind of energy that Gina has, and some of them might even have different energy, but can you talk a little bit more about that for us?
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is when I say your immediate family is your biggest lesson, that doesn't just mean bloodlines. There is a
Oh,
difference
no.
between, there
They
are,
were definitely a lesson, let me tell you. But I didn't have to be related to it. There's a
right.
difference. Sorry, go on.
So blood itself is a really, really powerful form of earth magic. Earth, that's one of the ways that our planet weaves together kind of the tapestry of existence here. And so when we talk about bloodlines, we're kind of talking about like a very specific way to relate to each other. And so like Gina does technically have, I mean, you do have a bloodline that is affecting you, and but you're relating to it differently because of just it just kind of depends on which lessons we're learning here in life, and Gina herself has done a lot of work on, I think, early on in her life without realizing it because of who Gina is. She's done a lot of like of clearing of those karmic relationships to her blood because she's so Gina's very, very connected to crystals, and crystals are a very easy way, frankly, to clear stuff like that if you trust them and you know how to work with them, which she just inherently does. Um, but yeah, it just kind of depends on what type of lesson that you're trying to learn here. Ultimately, we are all family, and ultimately we all relate to each other, and we are all here to learn and grow from each other and with each other. And one of those biggest lessons we have is what is ours and what is not ours. And that's it. It's more about, how do you say this in English? It's like it's about resonating as you, and less than it is about like if you're trying to take on other people's stuff out here all the time, then it's really, really hard for you to grow the light inside of yourself that resonates and feeds the rest of the world around you, feeds yourself and the things around you. And that's all of our biggest lessons. And so when we're choosing into our lessons on this planet, we're really choosing into what is going to help us learn how to resonate the most as ourselves.
Very well put. That explained a lot, and it put it in kind of it added another dimension to what we're talking about. Susie, 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 what do fairies say about this kind of information today?
Thank you so much, Arlene. The fairies want to talk about Grandmother Moonstone. And Grandmother Moonstone is all about cycles of change, boundaries, new beginnings, water. And when Moonstone cools in the earth, the minerals in her structure separate into layers. And when light shines through them, it scatters in all directions. And this is what gives Moonstone its iridescent hue and radiance. And a moonstone is also a wise woman energy that moves through boundaries and barriers around your heart and your crown. And she brings in higher vibrational energies, and she can establish new pathways of energy to help us shift gracefully as we, move toward change. And grandmother also has many qualities and focuses that align with Moonstone, like helping with dreams and visions. She can teach you how to deepen your intuition and move with the cycles of life with strength, wisdom, connection to the waters and the earth. And of course, she does have an invite for you to peel back those hidden layers so you can illuminate, those parts. And you are always welcome to ask for her guidance and her healing. Such a beautiful card. And Aubrey, for our quantum tarot card today, I pulled the moon card. Extra dimensions. And the moon represents the mysterious and the unfamiliar, which can really seem fearful. And um, and it would appear that we have some extra dimensions and layers that need our attention. So, Aubrey, with the double moon cards, what's happening right now? And what needs to surface?
You know, um, so one of my favorite things about the moon card, especially in the tarot deck, is that it goes hand in hand with the star and the sun cards. And these cards are all pointing to different types of light that we are shining at any given moment and how we relate to our own light. So when I think of the moon, the very first thing that came to me today, because I'm going through a process right now, I'm connecting right now in order to kind of go through a healing process for myself. I'm connecting into the Arctic sun, the eternal sun that happens during the summer, where the sun never does set. And there's always light that is accessible, no matter what. And I feel like the moon is our reminder of that there is always light shining, and how we relate to our own light is what determines how we're going to react to things. So when we relate to our own light as the sun, it's going to be ever burning and beautiful and hot and joyous and eternal. You can stay there infinitely if you relate to it correctly. But we've chosen not to do that. We've chosen to also relate to ourselves as the moon. There are cycles in life, and there is a depth and mastery that comes with relating to your own light in different ways, and finding that tapestry of life and that multidimensionality that we all get to encompass is part of our point in being here and incarnating and experiencing the ups and the downs and the sorrows and the fears even. It's all very, very beautiful. And when we really feel into the fact that we have chosen into this masterpiece of an existence, we get to experience it on layers in layers that we never thought were possible.
That is amazing. Thank you for putting that all into a storyline and a context and making it all balanced, yin yang balanced for us. Wow. I always learn so much when we do these shows. Um, I think I hear incoming. I think I hear something coming in that wants to bring a message. Beep, 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 beep. Who we got today, Aubrey? Who's here with our message?
Today's message is from the dolphins. They want to tell us what they're showing me is the way that they move through currents. Their favorite things to do is play with alternating currents that are coming up against them, in order to kind of find what the flow in any given situation. And so what they're showing me is that they do this individually and they play, and when they learn how to do that, then they come back to their larger group and show everyone else what they have learned, and then the larger group will then learn how to do that in a very beautiful ebb and flow of mastery. And so what the dolphins kind of want to show us is that we can learn as much from the group as we can learn from our own exploration, and they're encouraging us to not view anything as opposing forces. So it's never, even if there's something coming at you, it's an opportunity to learn how to flow in a different way. And a lot of our growth right now is going to depend on whether or not we can adapt to new types of flow. So they would love to teach everybody how to do that if you'd like to connect into dolphin energy.
Thank you. Thank you, dolphins. Thank you. I love the dolphins. They are just, they're just awesome. Well, we would like to thank everyone and everything for listening to our show today. And if you have a comment or would like some, go ahead and put it down in the bottom of our comment section, and we'd be glad to mention it and discuss it if you would like. But until next time, thank you for joining us in the Dawn of Ascension show. Bye, everyone.
Bye.